Beaumont's Travel Journal, May 19th to May 24th, 1876. There has been a fire burning in my soul ever since those hungry dead chased us from the tombs and almost killed Torinobu. It's not often I find myself wanting revenge, but today I do. It was a long ride down to the tombs from Masthead, took us 5 whole days. We had barely set out, going off-road towards Stone's Crossing, when we happened upon a thin desert trail. It seemed that more than the occasional traveller or townsperson take this shortcut across the desert. Through the haze I was sure I could hear the skittering of creatures in the desert. But we went untroubled and made camp just north of Stone's Crossing. We got back on the trail the next morning and made good time on horseback. We had 2 days of peaceful travel, passing Fort Lopez and the corrupted cesspit of Flan's Folly without any trouble. The next day, however, we happened upon a ghostly visage at the side of the trail. A strange old man stood at the edge of the forest. He looked pale as a ghost. And then he spoke.
"I am no one. I have never been anyone, and I was buried without ever being known to anyone. I never knew who I was, nor was there anyone to teach me. There was nowhere I belonged in this world. No one needed me, and no one knew me. I came to scavenge garbage by night, and by day I hid silently in a pit. After a very long time had passed, my home became a grave for the people who lived above. Soon after, my home became my grave."
The old man disappeared. It's clear this area is haunted. One thing is for sure, I won't be able to sleep tonight. After all that was over, we made camp just north of Aldeville and prepared for the last leg of the journey. And just as I suspected, I had troubled dreams that night. The next morning, as we crossed the desert, we were accosted by a bandito. Dressed in bright-coloured clothing, he leapt from behind a tree and explained that he gives money to those in need and takes money from the rich. There was something about him that was strangely pure, and we were quite happy to have met him, especially when he was kind enough to give us $200 before running into the forest. After he was gone, we made camp at the foot of the mountains. The next morning, we started our climb towards the tombs.
The sun begins to dip low in the sky as Beaumont and Torinobu return to the tombs, intent on completing the work they failed last time.
"Those living dead are still in here, Beaumont-san. We have a job to do. Our honor is at stake."
"I don't know about your honor, but I came prepared this time." Beaumont points to his side satchel filled with sticks of TNT. Up ahead, the entrance to the tombs yawns, a dark maw set in the granite face of a mountainside. "Well, let's get this bloody work over with, shall we? Let's go." Beaumont leads the way, holding the old oil lamp up as he enters into the darkness of the tombs. As Beaumont nears the entryway, he notices Torinobu lagging behind. "Don't tell me you're scared. I thought you samurai were all supposed to be brave and fear nothing."
"Only a fool will rush ahead. Caution is the better part of valor, Beaumont-san."
"I see," says Beaumont, noticing that Torinobu is in fact scavenging around through the dusty crates and discarded barrels outside the mine entrance. "Did you find anything useful?"
"No. It seems unless we wish to throw rocks at our enemies, there is nothing of use for us here."
Beaumont nods and prepares to press on, feeling a creeping darkness somewhere in the depths of the mine. Beaumont takes a deep breath as he steps over the threshold, once again entering the tombs. As he passes through the doorway, the light from the lantern illuminates an excavation chamber. "What the bloody hell were they looking for in here?" he says, staring at the ancient ruins half unearthed in the ground. The room is a makeshift dig site. An excavation has uncovered ancient ruins of a massive alien statue buried for millennia in the earth.
"Good Lord, what on earth did they find down here?"
Neither Beaumont nor Torinobu can make sense of the ancient ruins that are half unearthed here, and before they can spend too much time considering it, their attention is snatched away by the moaning and groaning of hungry dead in the darkness. Torinobu catches up to Beaumont just in time to see the shambling horrors emerging from the darkness. Two great heaps of festering rotten corpses lie towards the back of the room, and from the mass of bodies crawls three ghoulish figures, stumbling to their feet and moaning, hunger in their eyes. A sickly blue light washes over the shambling corpses as the room is partially illuminated by a flickering blue portal of energy, a void gate that may well lead to another world, or so the rumours go. Beaumont quickly moves towards the portal, using its light to illuminate the shambling hungry dead. He takes aim and opens fire. With a wet thump, one of the corpses falls down, dead for a second time. Torinobu doesn't hesitate. Unsheathing his katana, he rushes forward, and with quick slices of great fury, he slashes one of the hungry dead in half, and then fillets the corpse pile, leaving it as chunks of meat. With a sudden fury, the remaining hungry dead turn on him. It lashes out at him, its gnarled fingers clawing at his face, but Torinobu, with his quick reflexes, manages to dodge the attack. He grapples with the hungry dead, cautious of its vicious-looking teeth, when suddenly a loud bang echoes from somewhere behind him, and the hungry dead's head blasts apart in chunks of rotten meat and brain. Torinobu turns to see Beaumont, his pistol smoking. "Sorry about that, old chap. I thought you needed a little bit of help."
Most grateful of your help, but please, next time, not so close to my head.
While Beaumont reloads his revolver, Torinobu makes a dash to the remaining piles of corpses in the corner of the room, and using both of his swords, he cuts it to pieces, making sure none of these corpses will be walking again. "Well, it looks like everything else in this room is a dead end, so I suppose that only leaves us one place left to go," says Beaumont, looking at the shimmering portal near him. Torinobu nods. Beaumont steps through the portal first. The swirling kaleidoscope of energies rushing past him as he suddenly finds himself in another part of the mines. He finds himself transported to an ore chute. The bin at the base of the chute is empty, though shale trickling down the chute leads Beaumont to investigate further. Something is stuck. A large metal chute, once used for mining, protrudes from the wall here. On closer inspection, there seems to be something stuck up there, blocking it up. Beaumont briefly considers trying to dislodge whatever is blocking the chute up. However, he thinks better of it, knowing that in these mines there could be a nasty surprise around every corner, or up every chute. Torinobu suddenly emerges from the portal behind him. Stepping into the room, he looks around.
It seems we are still in the mines.
As the two explore the room further, they realize it is not just home to an ore chute, but is in fact a void layer. The passage is covered in thick, sticky webs, and soft egg sacs line the walls and floor. This stuff is going to make fighting awfully difficult if it comes to it, Torinobu.
Yes, quite difficult.
"Bloody hell, they're hatching," Beaumont says, noticing the eggs begin to crack. From the sickly-looking egg sacs extends the long, clawed legs of void spiders as they begin to spill out in their numbers. "Bloody hell, a fight it is then," says Beaumont. But before he can draw his pistol, he hears a familiar voice in the darkness up ahead. "Thought you'd seen the last of us, did you, Mr. Sinclair?" From the shadows emerge the familiar faces of men he hasn't seen since his showdown in the streets. Then from the darkness emerges Henry Macmillan, a perfect hole in his forehead where Beaumont's bullet blasted his brains out previously. You're bloody dead! You can't be here! Henry Macmillan laughs, a ghoulish laugh from a dry, desiccated throat.
Oh, you ought to know, Mr. Sinclair, that things are strange around Brimstone County lately. Nothing unusual about the dead walking.
Well, I suppose I'll just have to kill you and your friends again. As the void spiders struggle their way out of their egg sacs, and before the undead bandits can do anything, Beaumont pulls a stick of dynamite from his satchel and hurls it, the fuse fizzing wildly as it lands amidst his assailants. Fortune favours Beaumont when the dynamite explodes in a terrifying blast that rips apart several of the void spiders and blows to pieces not only one of the undead bandits, but also a pile of corpses sitting in the corner. Rotten blood and shattered bones are blasted across the room in a horrific welter of gore. In a flash, Beaumont's hold-out pistol is in his hand, and he snaps off a quick shot. That punches a hole into the shoulder of one of the undead bandits. Then chaos breaks out as the spiders and the bandits struggle and clamour over each other to get to Beaumont and Torinobu. In the confusion, Beaumont manages to avoid any serious injury, only cuts and grazes marking his face. Torinobu, on the other hand, expertly dodges out of the way of the spider's legs. Then the samurai retaliates with an attack of his own. Vicious slices from his katanas whip through the air, cutting through Henry Macmillan like butter. Then with a final slice, fast as lightning, he cuts into one of the corpse piles sat near the coal bin. The remaining undead bandits fire their pistols, taking aim at Beaumont mostly. The gambling man barely escapes death and returns fire with his own pistol. Some fancy shooting, he manages to take out some of the spiders. Before the undead bandits can open fire on Beaumont again, Torinobu steps in between them. His sword gleams in the half-light, and with a quick slash, one of the bandits lay bisected on the floor. The last of the undead gunmen open fire. Beaumont feels a sharp pain in his hip. He looks down to see a spreading pool of crimson. "Oh, bloody hell, that's not good," he says, before collapsing to the floor in a heap. Torinobu prepares to face the remaining assailants alone. But to his surprise, he sees Beaumont struggling back to his feet, taking aim with his pistol. "It'll take more than that to do me and you braggarts," he says. And with a quick shot, he blows apart the last of the spiders. Meanwhile, Torinobu turns his attention to the gunslinger stood next to him, unleashing a flurry of attacks with his blade. Suddenly a bullet ricochets off the wall near Beaumont and lodges itself in the ground near his feet. One last undead outlaw remains, hiding behind the ore chute. Torinobu is about to move towards him when Beaumont clasps his wrist. No, I think I'll double down on this one," he says. And with pinpoint accuracy, he puts a bullet straight through the head of the undead outlaw, and the ghoul topples to the ground, once again dead. "Well, I rather hope you bloody stay that way this time." Torinobu looks around the room.
I believe that is the end of this infestation of dead men.
What makes you so sure there aren't more of them around here?
The air smells cleaner. Come, Beaumont-san. Our work here is finished.
Now just hold on a moment, Torinobu. I'm sure these unlikely lads have a bit of gold on them that we can deprive them of. Let's have a quick look around before we go. Beaumont and Torinobu loot the area and grab anything of value before stepping back through the portal and leaving the tombs, hoping to find a nearby town for a well-earned meal and a good night's rest.
The hordes of undead flow like rivers of rotted flesh and calcified bone. They fall before Torinobu and Beaumont, one after the other, for what feels like an eternity, until the blades dull and the bullets dwindle, and finally, they have no choice but to retreat. The two men don't know how many they put down, but one thing is for sure, the ghoulish horde will keep coming, and they will have to find another way to stop them. Fleeing down the mountainside, Beaumont and Torinobu reach a safe distance from the ghoulish horde, who seem to give up their chase and shamble aimlessly around the rocky formations. Bloody hell! That was Henry Macmillan! He's become some kind of undead outlaw, Beaumont says, panting for breath.
He does not seem to like you.
Well, I imagine not, since I'm the one who shot him dead.
Strange things happen in this land of Brimstone. I am chased by the spirit of Lady Noriko, you by the walking corpse of Henry Macmillan. I have a feeling these angry spirits will not let us rest as long as Akuma no Jin walks the earth.
It does smell like his insidious work from what you say. Come on, Torinobu, let's get out of this place. Beaumont's Travel Journal, May 24th to May 26th, 1876. With those hungry dead still roaming the countryside, we made the decision to head for Alderville to resupply and put our ears to the ground. Someone must have an idea how to stop those things. It was an uneventful 2 days' travel to Alderville. The only thing of note was some of our provisions had spoiled on the first night. I have no doubt it was somehow the fault of those rotting ghouls. Not to worry though, we can resupply in Alderville, although money is looking a bit slim at the moment. Perhaps I can make some money in the saloon. Beaumont and Torinobu arrive in Alderville, and the small town proves no match for Beaumont's gambling skills as he wins a few hands of cards. More than enough to restock their provisions. He stops off at the blacksmith and buys himself some dark stone bullets from the local blacksmith, who swears blind to the gambler that ammunition made from the black rock will put holes in any horrid beast that troubles him. They find the small town holds no secrets, as everyone seems to know everyone's business. According to the townsfolk, the undead are rising up out of some deep dark pit found in the mines of South Fork. It's so deep it leads straight down a hill, I'm telling you, one of the locals says. The town is gripped with fear and beg the travelling would-be heroes to find this hell pit and seal it off for good. Well, Torinobu, it sounds like dirty work, but someone has to stop the roaming undead terrorizing the country, and I suppose you want to be the one to do it.
It is the honorable thing to do, Beaumont-san.
You won't be going alone, says one of the townsfolk. Me and my brother will show you the way through the mines. Very well. And what would your name be? We're the Johnson brothers. We got a score to settle. Very well, Johnson brothers. To the mines of South Fork we go.